On the news at 1, President Tinubu makes fresh appointments in Hajj Commission and National Christian Pilgrims Board. Central Bank of Nigeria appoints executives for 3 banks following the dissolution of the board. And Niger's deposed President Mohamed Bazoum's son freed from detention by coup leaders. A warm welcome and thank you very much for joining us on the news at 1 p.m. on NTA Channel 5 Abuja. I am Mariam Abubakar Kana. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the appointment of a new board and management team for the National Hajj Commission, NACON, pending confirmation by the Nigerian Senate.
The president, in his resolve to ensure hitch-free and seamless 2024 Hajj operations, appointed the following persons to the board of NACHCAM: Jalal Arabi, Chairman; Aliu Abdulrazak, Commissioner, Policy, Personnel and Finance; Prince Anofi Elegushi, Commissioner, Operations; Professor Abubakar Yagawa, Commissioner, Planning and Research. For zonal representation, Dr. Muhammad Umar Ndagi, North Central; Abba Jato Kalal, North East; Sheikh Mohammed bin Uthman, North West; Tajuddin Oladejo Abefe, South West; Aisha Obi Ahmed, South East; Zainab Musa, South South; Professor Musa Inua, Jamaatul Nasrul Islam; Professor Adedimisi Adebola, Supreme Council on Islamic Affairs. The president mandates the appointees to dedicate themselves to the task of ensuring that operations of the National Hajj Commission are more efficient, transparent, and responsive to the needs of Nigerians.
President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of the following 9 qualified Nigerians to serve on the board of Nigerian Christian Pilgrim Commission. Colonel Alochia Dole, Chairman; Dr. Stephen Adebite, Secretary; Omawumi Olubumi Ogunlola, Member Southwest; Clement Alobunweke, Member Southeast; Chief Prince Wele Wosu, Member South-South; Professor Joseph Haruna Mama, Member Northwest; Dr. Tuma Hamidu Rangia, Member Northeast; Dr. Simon Abu Samson Doli, Member North Central; Bishop Raphael Benjamin Nwankwo, Representative Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN. The President charges the new appointees to consider their appointment as an opportunity to serve the nation and as such wholly commit themselves to this important purpose. Moving on, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has appointed new executives to oversee the affairs of Union Bank, Keystone Bank, and Polaris Bank. This is following the dissolution of the board and management of the banks in an earlier press statement by the Director Corporate Communications of CBN, Hakama Sidi Ali. The new executives are Yetunde Oni and Manir Ubaliringim, who will serve as Managing Director and Executive Director of Union Bank. Hassan Imam and Chioma Mango will serve as Managing Director and Executive Director of Keystone Bank, while Lawal Mudathir Omokayode Akintola and Chris Onyeka Ofikulu will serve as Managing Director and Executive Director of Polaris Bank. There is no gainsaying that education is the best legacy that can be bequeathed to anyone and the bedrock of every society. The critical need everywhere in the world is for education to prepare students to lead successful, fulfilling lives. In today's world, this means providing them with relevant educational backgrounds that nurture their passions, problem-solving abilities, and higher-level thinking skills, including critical. But how did the education sector of the FCT fare in the year 2023? Education correspondent Mariam George Jitobo guides us.
The FCT education system comprises the various subsectors with clearly defined roles geared towards the development of the territory. The subsector include the Education Resource Center, Secondary Education Board, Universal Basic Education Board, with the FCT Education Secretariat playing a supervisory role.
Continuous capacity building in the education sector is crucial for ensuring high quality and effective educational system. It enhances teaching quality, student performance, professional development, and encourage innovative teaching techniques, as well as incorporate new curricular approach among other benefits.
According to the director, Dr. Nima Dawood Abdurrahim, the ERC in charge of placement and monitoring of examinations has recorded tremendous achievements in conducting and monitoring of examinations in the FCT in 2023.
So far, the 2023 has been a success, especially that we were able to do all our examination as at when due. We were able to do the book fair as at when due. The library division was able to conduct their summer holiday program where children were engaged positively during the holiday. And the beautiful thing about that Bear Hug program is an acronym for Books Enlighten and Reading Helps Us Grow. The beauty part of it is that it's an avenue for children from different backgrounds, different schools, and all that. And we also involve Almajiri training program.
To further strengthen education in the FCT, Director and Secretary, Secondary Education Board, Mohammed Sani Ladan says teaching aid and entrepreneurial training were introduced in the FCT secondary schools to make the students acquire the necessary skills that can help them become self-reliant.
Very well. And what we want to add now is the entrepreneurship skills so that they don't depend on the certificates and they don't have any skill to carry on with their lives. As a teacher, am I up to date ICT-wise? Because we run multimedia education where our lesson notes is everything is e-lesson note, e-assessment, even result is e-assessment. You understand? Yes, and our students now, you know, when you see things practically, yes, most of our teachings now we use projector.
And down to the junior secondary school, the chairman, FCT Universal Basic Education Board, Al-Hassan Suli, while reiterating that basic education is free in the FCT, reveals that the board has trained and retrained its teachers in line with global best practices.
Formerly, when a child graduates from primary 6, he drops out because there's no nearby junior secondary school we have to transit to. But now, give glory to God that about 16 new junior secondary schools between last year and this year were established in various communities. The same thing with primary schools. Not only that, on account of our sensitization policies in place, we're able to reduce minimally incidents out of school children.
Findings reveal that the impact of investment in education is profound. Education results in raising income, improving health, promoting gender equality, mitigating climate change, and reducing poverty. Bearing this in mind, the FCT administration says modalities are in place to ensure that FCT children receive the best education possible that can compete favorably with what is obtainable in other climes. Mariam George, Jitubo, NTA News.
Joining me in the studio now to take a review of education sector in the FCT is Alabi Wulemotu Ashake, a former Deputy Director, FCT. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Education remains a fundamental right of children. Will you say that the FCT administration has been able to ensure this?
Exactly. The FCT comparatively has been doing that because while I came in 1994, there are very few schools in the FCT, but the number of schools now, both in the city center and the suburb, are so tremendous that you know that something is being done to improve on education in the FCT. and then with the population explosion. Now, with crisis all over the nation, people started trooping into the FCT, such that the population now is so high. And I commend the government, at least, in establishing schools and even making private participation in the establishment of schools in the FCT.
Okay. Okay, so with a lot of commitments, we still have out of school children. As an educationist, what can be done in this regard?
A lot can still be done by encouraging parents to send their children to school. And at the same time, after education, for those that are going, to see the advantages of education. Because with many people coming out now, no work and so on and so forth, there is that discouragement in the society as a whole. But I think with the help of the NTA, publicity and so on and so forth, for people to see the other side of education, not just as a means of employment per se, government, that is a white-collar job. I think people should be interested in knowing that education has a lot of value. Even staying at home, as an educated person, you do it better than somebody who is not enlightened. At the farm, with your education, you can do better. So we just take a lot of more encouragement on the part of the government, telling people, publicizing for people to get to know that it's not just the reading and the writing, but the application of the knowledge as a whole.
Okay. We just resumed a new term. What's your advice on how quality and due diligence can be guaranteed in FCT schools?
Now, with the FCT setup, we have different arms taking care of different things in the FCT. For instance, we have the Education Resource Center, who are in charge of examination, to some extent, quality control, guidance, counseling, and so on and so forth. And then we have the quality control section, who are in charge of going around to see that proper and adequate teaching and learning take place in schools, and then that our structures and everything are in place. I think the FCT is trying to some extent. The only thing is that the government should ensure that there is adequate budgeting for all this to be appropriately done. Because the main thing is the budget. If budget can be improved on, I think people are there to actually carry out these functions.
Okay, so how is the quality of education monitored in the FCT?
Like I just said, there is this quality control unit, the DPI, which where I finally retired. There are a lot of experts who are termed maybe inspectors going around schools to see that the right structure, the right people, the right quality of teachers, and things are done right in the FCT. And even with the private schools, there are those who are going around to see that the private schools also are not just mushroom, but doing what they are supposed to do.
So before we let you go, ensuring standards is very important.
Yes.
How can this be pursued, especially with cases of substandard schools in existence?
I still go back to the DPI, who are in charge of the quality control of education. The thing is, upright people should be there to see that the right things are done. Before any school is established, there are conditions laid down for them to be fulfilled. If only these are fulfilled and is monitored and is always implemented, we are good to go. So it's just the people to make sure that we have the right caliber of people there going around to see that adequate things are done at the appropriate time.
Okay. So I'd like to add on, how can parents get involved in their children's education in the FCT? You made mention of parents' involvement.
Yes, parent involvement. Before I left, before I retired, there is this school management board or something to be instituted in all schools. That's parents, the society participating in what is going on in the different schools. I don't know to what extent that have been implemented, but if that can be brought back on board, that's for the community to take part in what is going on in the school, for them to have an input into what we are doing, how we are doing it. I think the better for us, if only we can be partners in progress, there will be much more commitment. But it will need enlightenment. For the parents to be enlightened, for the parents to be encouraged, and they see results. I think with that, parents will be interested in partaking in whatever is going on, on their children.
Okay, so are there any initiatives like for girl child education in the FCT?
Yes, there are. Like in the quality control unit, like I said, there is a division that is in charge of girls' child education. I think they go around encouraging girls, to be dedicated, to be committed, to be able to live up to even the performances of the boys, to see that there's no differences in what the girl can achieve to what the boy can achieve. There is a desk, for that, and I think they are doing their work.
Okay. Are there vocational, like technical education options?
Certainly.
Shed more light on that,
Certainly.
please, ma'am.
Even there are specialized schools in the FCT.
Yes.
Like there's a school, science secondary school in Piakasa, now in Maitama. There is a science vocational secondary school also in Gariki. All these are technical schools, that are doing what, is involved and really applicable to the society today.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. We really appreciate your presence and then in adding value to education. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much.
You are watching the 1 p.m. news on 98 Channel 5 Abuja. We will now go on a break. We'll be back shortly.
Good evening. Glad to have you join us.
Thanks for joining us on Weekly News Wrap.
Thank you very much for having me.
And it is on that note we welcome you to today's edition of the program.
I will celebrate creativity, lasting impressions.
There's no book stating that this is the role for men.
On the news.
On the news at 7.
The
latest station, NTA Channel 5, Abuja.
Would say have a lovely day.
Glad to have you back. Some indigents of Karo community in Abuja have thanked the members of Inner Wheel District 910, Nigeria, for providing them with free medical services. Francis Kabile reports that the non-governmental organization was established to touch lives.
Inner Wheel District 910 Nigeria was established on the 10th of January 1924 with the aim of providing humanitarian services to those at the grassroots. Today, being their 100 years of existence, this charity organization have reached out to the members of Karo community Abuja to provide free medical checkup.
Beneficiaries of this kind gesture say their joy knew no bound for the medical services, which include eye test, pharmaceutical services, and cervical cancer.
My eyes have been disturbing me. I know the glasses are expensive, so I was like using the money I'm using for business now to go and run the test. I won't be able to continue the business. So when I heard about it yesterday, I had to rush down.
It's really important to me because I've been able to be educated. I was well educated on how to keep yourself clean and hygienic.
Similarly, the district head of Karo Peshi, Anadu Shaibwa, expressed his profound gratitude to the organizers, stressing that it has always been his prayer to have such good-spirited individuals in his domain.
My advice to all Nigerians that is, try to check up your body regular, because you wouldn't know. You will see someone walking on the street thinking that he's healthy, but the next day he fell down and he died.
Meanwhile, District Chairman of Inner Wheel District 910 Nigeria, Adenike Bamishai, says the essence of mobilizing medical experts for free medical outreach is to help improve the health of many Nigerians, as health is wealth, especially those who cannot afford their medication.
We felt that we should actually take it back to communities where we have maybe less privileged people that requires one help or the other. So the idea better was, let's have like a free medical outreach.
Whatever we are doing today is from our purse. Nobody is supporting us. It's from the minds of each and every one of us. We contributed to it to make sure that people, they are happy.
We're here to carry out a medical outreach
specifically for the women of reproductive age to screen them against cervical cancer.
This philanthropic organization, which is dominated by women, is appealing for membership as well as support from the government to help touch more lives so the world can be a better place. In Abuja, Francisca Bile, NTA News.
On the foreign scene, let's join Sandra Akeme for what is happening around the globe.
Welcome to the Globe this week, a foreign news segment that offers unique perspective on some stories that made headlines this week. I am Sandra Akeme. The appointment of Gabriel Attal, 34, a popular and media-savvy rising star of French politics, signal a desire by Emmanuel Macron to move beyond divisive reforms and improve his centrist party's chances in the European Parliament elections in June. President Macron is counting on the energy and commitment of Attal to implement the project of revitalization and regeneration that he announced. Macron wrote on social media after appointing Attal, a close ally and former minister and government spokesman. Attal has polled as one of France's most popular politicians in recent months. As a Macron loyalist, he became a household name as government spokesman during the COVID-19 pandemic and earned a reputation as a smooth communicator. Macron, 46, and Attal have a combined age just below that of Joe Biden, who is running for a second term in this year's U.S. presidential election. Niger's military tribunal granted the son of deposed President Mohamed Bazoum Salim provisional release from house arrest in the capital Niamey on Monday, it said in a statement. Salim, 23, has been in detention at the presidential residence with his parents since his father was stopped during a military coup in July. The coup, one of 8 in West and Central Africa since 2020, was widely condemned, led to sanctions from the Economic Community of West Africa states, and prompted widespread calls for Bazoum's release. The ECOWAS Court of Justice last month ruled that the family's detention was arbitrary and ordered Bazoum's reinstatement. The court's decisions cannot be appealed, has given the junta 1 month to say how it will execute order, the lawyers said. The launch of a Chinese satellite that flew over Taiwan, prompting an erroneous air raid alert, sparked a political storm on the island on Wednesday about China's motives only days out from presidential elections. Taiwan's presidential office said it did not consider the launch of a Chinese satellite whose rocket flew over southern Taiwan an attempt at interference ahead of the poll, but the main opposition parties questioned why the alert was issued. Many thanks for staying on this segment. Miriam, it's back to you for the continuation of the news.
Good evening. Glad to have you join us.
Thanks for joining us on Weekly News Wrap.
Thank you very much for having me.
And it is on that note we welcome you to today's edition of the program.
I will celebrate creativity, lasting impressions.
There's no book stating that this is the role for men.
On the news.
On the news at 7.
Jama'a barkanmu da wannan
The Little Station, NTA Channel 5, Abuja.
Would say have a lovely day.
We have come to the end of our bulletin this afternoon, but before we go, a quick recap of some of our major stories. President Tinubu has made fresh appointments in Hajj Commission and National Christian Pilgrim Board. Also, Central Bank of Nigeria appointed executives for 3 banks following the dissolution of the board. Thank you very much for watching the news at 1 p.m. on NTA Channel 5 Abuja. Do join us again by 7 p.m. for more news. Good afternoon.